Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain, where we are drinking our coffee, enjoying the day, relaxing a little bit before we get out and about and do just a few things. I am debating on maybe getting a new apartment, so I do have to pull myself together here in probably a little while and maybe go see about a few places. And the only reason is that even though there's nothing wrong with this apartment, they keep going up on my rent each year, and I feel as though I can get a place that I like a little better for the same, if not a little less, rent than what they are currently charging me. So I want to weigh my options. Now, the only benefit of staying here is I don't have to move my stuff. The benefit of moving would be having maybe a second bedroom in order to actually have a small, like maybe a little bit of a better recording space. So, debating. I am debating on options, so to speak. But with all of that being said, we're going to dive into the book today of Hammajang Luck by Makana Yamamoto. Now, I ran across this book, and I want to say that NetGalley was kind of, I don't want to, they were promoting it. And I kind of read just a small little blurb because I don't always read the summaries before I pick these books up. But I read just a small little summary and I was like, you know what? I love a good heist book. So why don't I pick this up? Because again, I like a good heist book. Who doesn't like where you go out and you maybe steal something like very Robin Hood-esque, where maybe the poor or the underprivileged or the ones who are taken advantage of finally kind of take a stand and steal from someone who has already been taking advantage of the system and now have way more than they probably should have. So that is why I picked this book up, and I'm gonna put the cover here that is not on NetGalley or not on Goodreads, but the one that was on NetGalley. I kind of like this cover a little bit better than the one that I'm currently seeing on Goodreads. I think the cover on Goodreads is fine, but this one is the one that kind of caught my attention. It also made me think that this could have made a really fantastic graphic novel as well, which I definitely could picture in my head as I was reading that there are some futuristic elements and things of that nature that could lend well if someone wanted to translate this over into a graphic novel. Now, one of the other things is that I am completely barefaced today. All I did was wash my face and put on some moisturizer. So, y'all are just gonna have to see me au natural, I guess. And my hair is slightly fixed, but with the rainy sort of weather, it is a little bit frizzy, but it is what it is today. I have not yet pulled myself together, but we're diving into the summary. So, Hammajang, adjective, definition, in a disorderly or chaotic state, messed up, chiefly in a predictive use, especially in a all Hammajang. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Etymology, a borrowing from Hawaiian pidgin. Source, Oxford English Dictionary. So there we go. There is a lot of Hawaiian cultural elements. So I think that was something I really enjoyed reading about, because I think the only Hawaiian implications that I really know, or cultural implications that I know of, are truly, and I really need to branch out a little bit more. So beyond this book, I would probably say it's like Lilo and Stitch and Moana. So I need to read more that have these cultural borrowings, because I think it's really fascinating. However, this book is also a little bit sci-fi as well. So it's just that the individuals are probably from, or they are from Old Earth, Hawaii, and they have brought their culture with them. So Edie is done with crime. 8 years behind bars changes a person. Costs them too much time with too many people who, costs them too much time with too many of the people who need them most. And it's all Angel's fault. She sold Edie out in what should have been the greatest moment of their lives. Instead, Edie was shipped off to the icy prison planet, spinning far below the soaring sky bridges and neon catacombs of the Kepler space station of home, to spend the best part of a decade alone. But then a chance for early parole appears out of nowhere, and Edie steps into the pallid sunlight to find none other than Angel, waiting, and she has an offer. One last job, one last deal, one last target. The trillionaire tech god they failed to bring down last time. There's just one thing Edie needs to do: trust Angel again, which also happens to be the last thing Edie wants to do. What could possibly go all Hammajang about this plan? And that's kind of where the summary ends. And then it just kind of says Ocean's 8 meets Blade Runner in this trailblazing debut science fiction novel and swashbuckling love letter to Hawaii about being forced to find a new home and striving to build a better one. Unmissable for the fans of Gideon the Ninth by Tansin Murr and Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. Science fiction, fantasy, queer, LGBT, fiction, fantasy, lesbian, and more. It does say it's first published on December 10th of 2024. However, again, I have that this book is not being released until January 14th. So I'm not sure which edition was getting released on December 10th or what was getting released on January 14th. However, NetGalley told me the publication date was January 14th. So I'm probably about a week behind that date with getting this review just published on my YouTube channel. So hopefully you'll go out and find it. It does say the hardcover is about 384 pages. I found it to be quite an easy read and a fast read. I want to say I probably sat down and plowed through it in about probably maybe 2.5 sessions, 3 sessions, probably call it. Again, pretty quick. And after I finished it, I did notice NetGalley did have an audiobook version of it. I don't think I went... I was going to say, I don't think I requested the audiobook version because I had already finished it. Sometimes I do, just because I like to be able to give pretty good reviews to both of them if I've really enjoyed it. And I thought this one was a pretty fun read. So let's dive into what I thought, which is that I was so frustrated with Edie for a little while because they were driving me nuts, and not in a bad way. Just Edie was in prison for 8 years because they were betrayed by Angel. Like, they had this job, and they, at the very last minute during this job, Angel betrayed them, and now Edie goes to prison. And so they're like pretty close to parole. It's not quite parole time, but Eddie's in prison. And they let Edie out, and who's waiting outside? And it seems to be, the summary says it's like the pallid sunlight. However, it seemed as though in the story, it's not sunlight at all. It seemed like the middle of the night. But Edie is getting let out, and it's Angel waiting for them. And I'm like, okay, could Angel have gotten them out at any other point? Like, I was really, really kind of angry at that point. And so Angel's like, hey, I have a job for you. And Eddie's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I'm like, good for you, Edie. Yeah, good. Go home, go back to your sister, figure out your life. And so Edie does. Edie goes back to their sister's house, or the house they grew up in, and tries to start putting things as right as possible. However, they quickly figure out that they've more or less been blacklisted and are having a really hard time finding a job. So after what seems to be, in my personal opinion, too short of a period of time, they go crawling back to Angel and accepting this job deal for one last job. And I'm just like, Edie, no. Edie, no. That was where I was just like, we just spent 8 years in prison because of this person. Maybe you still have feelings for them. Maybe there's this whole bunch of confusion. I don't know. I'm just saying, no. Once a person betrays you, like let's not put ourselves in this again. I just I don't want this for you. I don't want this for you, Eddie. Like, your sister doesn't want this for you. We need to do better. So, I was pretty much on the edge of my seat because, I really wanted Eddie to have a good new life where they were able to kind of start over. I didn't want them to have to go on this path, but of course I'm in it now, and we're adding people to the team. We're getting all these misfits along the way to be able to do this mission, and honestly, I was really intrigued by it, all the way they kind of went about getting the others on board to join the mission. And I really was I thought this could go really well, or it could go really south really quickly. I didn't know. And of course, I'm not here to try to give you guys the spoilers of how everything plays out. I'm just, you're going to have to figure that out for yourself if you go out and read it. I, on the other hand, was on the edge of my seat trying to figure out, I just want everybody to be, if anybody needs to get their comeuppance, it's Angel, because they had already backstabbed Eddie at one point. I want Eddie's sister to be able to have their sibling back, and I want Eddie to be able to have the life they deserve. So I was just really hopeful, but when you put yourself back in that lifestyle again, you run that risk of things going south again. So you just have to read it to find out what happens. Of course, you're going to be on the edge of your seat. Of course, there's going to be lots of tension. So please be aware. You're going to have those romantic interests and entanglements and all sorts of stuff like that. I think it was really well done. I think the heist was probably... I think I wish it had gotten just a little bit more... At some points, I thought some of the relationship issues were almost a little too on the forefront, and the heist part was a little too in the a back burner sort of thing. And I think that's just the way I was perceiving it, is because there is so much tension going on that's affecting the way the heist is going that I just kind of wish we could put that to the side. But I understand why it's affecting things, because of course a heist situation is going to be built on the relationships between the people, and it's going to really it's going to be the trust is going to be a big factor whether they're going to be able to succeed or not. So I'm trying to kind of dance around all the stuff that's kind of happening and kind of being as vague as possible without giving anything away. If that makes sense, I hope you guys understand. Really good. I think I gave this 4 stars because I do think it was a good 4-star book. I probably would have given it a 4.25, but again, don't have the option to give it partial stars. I do see pretty much the majority of people reviewing this book are giving it 4 stars, and so I felt pretty confident that that's where it should land. And I don't read these summaries or reviews until I come on here with you guys and start doing this review. I already have in my mind what I'm going to say to you guys and how much I plan on spilling. So I did want to kind of look at what a couple people were saying. Now, one person, who is this? Aster. They said Ocean's 8 is their comfort movie, and says to them it doesn't consume, or they don't usually consume too much heist media, but they won't lie that this one retains some of that cyberpunk-esque Ocean's 8 with a crew of Asian and Pacific Islander, trans, non-binary, butch, femme, lesbian, and they couldn't put it down. So you know what? they gave it 5 stars, and I can completely understand. Like, if Ocean's 8 is one of their comfort movies, then this would definitely fall into that category of probably like a pretty good comfort book. Like, did I find it comfortable? No, because of course all of the kind of relationship tensions makes me feel tense, but if they really like that movie, then this would be a book that they would love. So if you like that movie, then you're gonna love this book. And of course, I hate that Eddie had to lie to their sister, because I personally hate lying to anybody at all, ever. Like, that's like the biggest thing for me. Like, I am the worst liar in like the world. So for me, it's just easier if I just like, I tell you the truth, even if I have to be like ashamed about it. Like, you're gonna know if I'm lying to you anyway. So might as well just tell you the truth and just be done with it. But, anyways, I'm gonna leave it at that. I think the characters were well defined, well built, and complex enough. It is a heist book, so it's just kind of like the one and done sort of thing. I don't imagine there will be more in the series, but I could be wrong. I really hope they don't like go back out and do more things, but again, I could be wrong. And with all of that being said, I hope you will like, subscribe, and come back again, and we will figure out what we were reading in the future, because that is what we do. And I will see you on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.